Hi, this is Abdul Aziz Khan, and in this video, we will be going through the topic of interference. Basically, a friend of mine was asking me about interference, so I thought I should make a video so that it will help everyone. So I hope this video you will find it informative. Uh, how to calculate interference in path loss? It's process-wise, it's very simple, but if you go in a bit of detail, then it's very complex thing. If you have interference cases, then how to mitigate, how to remove the cases, it becomes very challenging, and sometimes it's not very easy. However, one thing is, for example, if you have a network which is changing a lot and you have all type of links, for example, if you are using one single file and you are not removing links, like for example, if let me show you, like for example, this link, there are three links. Maybe some of these links are not working, but showing all three links. And if these all three links, if they have for example, they all have frequency channels assigned as well, then the problem is that it will be taking this as three links, and it may show some extra interference, which and while in actual some links are not there, I mean. So because path loss, it cannot know by itself, I mean, that these links are there or these are not there. So whatever is being inputted, for example, if we have three links here and this link is not working now, what we can do is that we can remove these frequencies. At least if I remove these frequencies, then the link without frequency will not be added because it has no frequency. And if you have made a network and you don't have put the frequency up till now, then you cannot do interference. That interference report will give you a wrong idea because a lot of links, they don't have the frequencies channel assigned. So channels should be assigned and correct channels should be assigned. This is one thing, but this has nothing to do with the path loss. Path loss will do the calculation based on whatever information it has. So interference, how to calculate it? It's very simple. You select a link, you go to interference, and you ask it to calculate interference. Now, as soon as you ask it to calculate, this window will open. This window, it looks quite simple, but it has some things that one should understand. The first thing, which is very basic, is the coordination distance. Coordination distance means that if it is receiving an interference signal from another transmitter, but the length of the path is more than 10 kilometers, because we have coordination distance of 10 kilometers. So it will not accept that interference, it will reject that interference because you have asked it to limit the distance to 10 kilometers. So 10 kilometers is a kind of default as well. But as per my understanding, in cities, especially in major cities, you should further reduce it, because in big cities, uh, there may be some areas where you have a lot of links in a very small place, and generally that kind of area has usually, not always, it has big buildings. I mean, the LOS is not very easy, so the chances of a link interfering from one point to another point is quite low. Also, if you are in the northern areas where there are big mountains and you are inside a valley, then still there also you should reduce the distance up to the distance of the up to the valley size, I mean. So because you know that a signal from across the mountain, it cannot reach this area. So you should have some kind of local experience, and based on that experience you can change the number. But if you don't change the number, 10 kilometer is a default number, which is not bad. The next number is maximum frequency difference. So this is the difference between the channel which you are looking into and the channel which is interfering. So if the difference between the channels is more than 56 megahertz, then it will not accept it as an interference, because it's a very far away channel, and generally this channel should not make any problem. So this 56 is a kind of fine. But if you have bigger channels, for example, if you are using very new radio and you are using a channel of 120 megahertz, for example, then you should increase this number as well. Then 56 is not enough. You have to put this channel, this to the double of the size of your biggest channel, that double of the size of the channel that you should be checking. Generally in Pakistan up till now we are using 28 megahertz most of the time. So 56 is fine, but if you are using 56 megahertz channel, then put it as 112. If you are using 120 megahertz channel, then put it as 240 megahertz. This default minimum interference level is minus 115. This is also, you can say, a kind of default kind of value. Generally this value is calculated from the noise floor of the area, and if you allow, if you want, then it can be calculated through Pathloss as well, but generally it you can put this number as well. And minus 115 is a kind of a good number. Now calculation margin, it is the margin from where you will start to receive the interference level. For example, if you want to know even the minimum level of interference, which is generally required for coordination, not for your own network, because you don't do interference for your own network only. Sometimes if you have 2 3 operators, then you have to do some coordination interference as well. You have to check the interference between operators. So you even want to know if any slight interference is coming or not. So you can put a bigger margin, like for example a margin of 200 dB. So even if there is any signal of minus, because whatever margin you will put, you will start receiving the interference cases which are this number below your minimum interference. For example, if you put 200 here, if I put 200 here, then I can find levels of minus 115 as well, minus 315. So if someone is creating interference of minus 315, which is, I know it's a very big number and it cannot be, you generally don't get these kind of interferences, but still these kind of interferences should also be reported. And whatever they are putting on your network, it should be reported to you. So generally, if you are doing in inter-system within an operator, so you put it as 0, because you don't want to go in much detail, because it's not a coordination. Then this is your objective, that what level of interference should be reported, because when you receive any interference, it put a kind of degradation on your system. As a, you can say that as a normal calculation, if you are getting an interference of 6 dB, your threshold can be degraded by 1 dB. So if for example you are getting a lot of interference on some point, and there's 10-20 links are bringing some interference, and the resultant is creating a interference of, for example, 12 or 18 or 20 dB, then your threshold should be degraded by the same amount. I mean, I will show you one case in another video, and then we can see that how it affects the things. So the other things, it will make this video very bigger, so I will leave it. If anyone has any question, so the next thing that I will let you know, which is very important, because if I do system interference right now, it will tell me that there is no case, because if you read it here, it's saying selection and selection. So we have selected only one link. So if we say selection and selection, then it will calculate interference of this link with this link, which is simply not the case. I mean, one way is that I select multiple links here. For example, if I start selecting links, and I select 1, 2, 3, 4 links. Now if I ask it to do between selection and selection, then it will do interference between these 4 links. So this interference will run. I mean, maybe it will not give us any kind of no interference case recorded. So even for 4 links, we did not find any interference. Generally, if you will make very small number of links, then hopefully if you have a good network, then they will not create any kind of interference. So generally what we do is that we calculate interference between this link and all the other links. But it will, as I told you, that it will do it within 10 kilometer only. As a selection, it has selected all other links, but in the report, it will only take the links which are not more than 10 kilometers away. So now if I ask it to calculate, then it will start calculating. This may take some time. My laptop is also not that powerful laptop, I mean, so it can take some extra time. And so what other thing we can do is that, for example, if in your links, if you have segregated links based on anything, I mean, for example, if in your network there are some links which are going to be removed, I mean, they are going to be uninstalled, so you can put them in some other, you can put them as in some other list, I mean, so you can exclude that list, and you can say that, okay, I need uh, between my selection and between some specific links, but those specific links needs to be segregated, and they need to be marked in some way. So this I will show you in some other video, that how we can make different how we can make different lists of our link, make different databases of our link. So it will ask you to save interference calculation file. Generally you don't need, I mean, why should you do, but you can keep this file if you want to go and challenge someone, but we are more interested in this report, the summary report. So in the summary report, if I don't get a no interference, then I get a report here. It's telling me that this initial, if you remember, this is the same things like 10 dB, 56 dB margin, minus 15, margin 0. Okay, we have only one case. Calculation is made right now, Wednesday, June 29. So case 1 is from site 1947 and 1949 from 1947, and it's on 12887.5. Threshold degradation is 1.16 dB. So right now we have objective of 1 dB. If the objective should have been of 3 dB, then this case should not have been reported. Like for example, we can right now check this, and I put it as 3 dB, because 3 dB is also not bad. I mean, it's also a kind of standard, relaxed standard, I mean, we can say. So now if I ask it to show me report, it will say there is no interference case recorded. This is what we usually want to see, that whenever I run an interference, generally I should be receiving this kind of thing, that there is no interference case recorded. So I hope that this video should have given you some idea. I will record another video very just now, I mean, in which I will show you a big interference case record, and we will discuss some of the cases, that okay, how these cases can be corrected. So see you in my next video. Goodbye.